I have a heavenly breakthrough for you, and you are going to wear my glory as my people and be favored wherever you go. And to see a public official decree that is quite miraculous. Now, it is so good to be here with you in Louisiana, and I do need to recognize two of my dear friends that for years and years, we have been involved for many years in the prayer movement throughout America. I, of course, in the 80s became key in going worldwide in the prayer movement and working into the Soviet bloc countries and China and working with Keston College with prisoners and various people in oppression. And then in 1989, God started birthing a new movement in America. And that's when the Lord put people like me and Cindy Jacobs and Dutch Sheets and people like that together, along with Dr. Peter and Doris Wagner. And Peter is now with the Lord in glory. But two of those people from Louisiana that have always stood with us are Roger and Charlotte Merschbrock. You guys stand up, let them see you. They are just awesome. Goodness. Just incredible. And then I, of course, graduated from my first degree. I couldn't really understand with my history across the border from Louisiana and being so involved in Louisiana growing up in my life, why I wouldn't go to Centenary or I wouldn't go to especially LSU. Because I was so, I just fit with Baton Rouge and New Orleans. My assistant is from New Orleans. And two of my dearest friends, Larry and Brenda Bazette, let's thank God for them, are from LSU, from Baton Rouge, but the Lord sent me to Texas A&M, blessed me tremendously there. My wife and I got married. We were there. Of course, we've been married now for 51 years. That's a long time. And I'm still alive and going all over the world. We wrote one book together, and they said, you guys are as different as night and day. How? They asked her, how in the world do you live? Have y'all lived together all these years? And she said, it's real easy. He's traveled. But Pam, I see, as you keep journeying in your life, you're going to see things a lot more clearly. And Pam became the office manager at Texas A&M of the horticulture department. And well, now, she's over gardens. She's a horticulturist. She has created models for the cities in our area. We, of course, have the Israel Prayer Garden. We have the AgriForest model, which is so incredible. And, you look back and you see how the Lord leads you on your journey. And right now, we are on a journey. And when COVID happened, the Lord changed me, because I don't think our mayor would know this, but I travel at 550,000 miles a year. And the Lord redirected my life, redid, when you've done that for 40 plus years and all of a sudden you stop, because Cindy Jacobs gave me a word. She said, you won't be traveling this year. She said, I have no idea how God would do that, because you're already scheduled to go all over the world this year. And I said, And I got home, and my wife said, I was watching on the web when Cindy gave you that word. That's the word of the Lord. The Lord is going to redirect your life. You won't be traveling like that. And the Lord started me back over in my backyard when COVID came, and he said, I will redirect you, and you will go only where I send you, because it will be timed by me perfectly. Well, I still travel 150,000, 200,000 miles a year, but that's nothing like what I did. And it's been an amazing time. And of course, I wrote Passover prophecies. Charisma called and said, with COVID hitting, he called me at the beginning of March and said, do you think you could write a book, since you prophesied about this last August? In August 2019, I began to prophesy about it. And they said, could you write a book for us? But we need it now. Can you do it in 8 days? I said, I don't have anything else to do. I might as well do it in 8 days. That book is worth you reading again. Of course, I've written 40-plus books, but that one is worth you reading if you haven't read it, because it's going to help you understand a lot of things that are happening today. But in the midst of that, we're here tonight, and God ordained it. Apostles Sydney and Patty, and I've loved them, watched them from afar. They are aligned with the ministry house that we're a part of. And I had always known I would be able to be here in Lafayette at the right time. And I want to say this. We want to thank God for the city of Lafayette. Now, Chet, go up just a few more. I want to show you what it means this year and I'll come back and I'll teach that for you. But when it means that we are, this year, the real meaning means we're at a new gate. In Hebrew, every word has sound and meaning and understanding. And we're at a new gate. It's a new door of promise for us. But the gate doesn't look like what we think, like when we're looking this way. And if you'll grab hold, I know I'm skipping around for you, but show them that heavenly circle, Chad, down there. See, that's really what he decreed today. That's what it looks like from heaven. And when you have a public official decree that, let me tell you something, because, see, he's been given authority here in the land. And I'm seeing great friends out there. And I do have a great son and daughter here from Las Vegas. I mean, Pasquale, you and Norma stand up, and they're awesome. And their dear friend with them. And our first child was born after we couldn't have children. Our first child was from Alexandria. Amber was born here in Lafayette. I mean, my whole life is connected here. And so I have watched how the Lord is moving in perfect timing to change an atmosphere of this nation. I did 13 different states this week with interviews and different things. And this nation is changing. And the last 4 places I've spoken, last being Morning Star in North Carolina with Rick Joyner and Chris Reed and all of that group. And the last 4 times I've said, this year, this whole decade is about what we decree, what we speak. In Hebrew, it's the decade of pay. We'll go over some of this tomorrow. And it means God is moving from heaven. He's blowing in from heaven into the earth His will for this hour. And yet, the enemy, anytime God begins to move like that, the enemy rises up to fire back. The dragon, it says in Revelation 12, rises up. And so we're in this whole era. It's a historical, an era is different from a season. An era means, and it started in September 2019, prophetically means history's being rewritten. We're not seeing the same history as we once had, and how we decree is how history for our future will go. And that's really important. You are in a historically changing era. And so it becomes really important that we realize and watch very carefully. Of course, I've been involved with Israel since God revealed Himself to me as the God of Israel in 1972. So Israel is a huge part of our lives. My kids been living there for 10 years. And so the last 4 or 5 places I've spoken, I've said, it's an era of this decree, and I do find we can't even get the Speaker of the House in place. And the whole era is about what we're saying, and that shows you how America has to shift. And I said, if I could just hear God speak something through somebody in Washington, D.C., we could decree that the nation would change. So I guess it was about almost 2 weeks ago. I heard, I was walking by a TV, and I heard a guy say something from the House of Representatives. And I said, my God, I heard you through somebody in Washington, D.C. I was in shock for a minute. And I looked and I saw it was from Louisiana. So I actually texted Larry immediately. I said, that guy from Louisiana has the voice of God for today. And Larry said, he's a great guy. He is a great guy. And I'm going to tell you, from that moment forward, faith rose up in me, knowing that God had a plan and that our prayers were being realigned from heaven to earth. And that He would start working, because this era, we must hear His voice. And I knew at that time, that voice, I had heard it. Now, I want to say something to you. God chose that voice to come from Louisiana. I know way too much about the politics of nations, so I never get down in that. God chose the voice to come from Louisiana. And there's a reason for that. See, we're in this incredible angelic movement. Lord Sabaoth is moving in the heavenly realm. And see, Psalms 102 says, there comes a time the heavens change. He puts them off like an old garment. And see, when God starts moving and blowing from the heavens, all of the other heavens have to realign. Well, you get something like this today where someone decrees that has land jurisdiction, that heaven is going to align here. Hell can't stop it. And in 1986, I was visited by the Lord in Houston, and I've written 3-4 books about it. And then the Lord showed me 10-year increments, everything that would happen up through 2026. And he focused me on the China church and China. And he said, I will show you where China will be in 2026. This was in 1986. So when I first began to decree it, people thought I had really gone over. But I wrote it, I diagrammed it, I outlined it, and to the moment, China is now where God said they would be. And he showed me America, and he said, unless America makes this incredible shift, they'll look like China by 2026. And I knew then the Lord had called me to an intense prayer call. So my life has been God showed me the economic structure of China starting in 1986. I actually went and I was privileged to teach at the University of Beijing. And so we're in such an incredible moment. We're in a moment personally because God loves each one of us so much personally. He wants to know every step we take. He wants us to walk with Him in each step. And then He moves corporately with us. He cannot do certain things till we have meetings like this. Can't just do it just because we have a good church meeting. He has to represent the territory that He's looking at. El Paso will take what they came for here back to El Paso. So you see how you begin to expand this portal. And so the Lord showed me so much during that time. And then in 2008, I was in New Jersey, and this is what I want to show you. We were doing a meeting at the train station, about 2,500 people, because we wanted to open up the gate. It's right there in Jersey Park, where half of what America's about would come through Ellis Island, get on the train, and then go either to Jersey, Newark, Jersey City, or New York. And so we rented the train station to worship and make decrees. John and Cheryl Price, the Rosellis, all the leadership in that area. And I was to speak and move forward. And when we got there, God caught me up for 4 hours. Needless to say, I was not a very good speaker that night. But I recorded everything he did. And he first of all showed me my bloodline and how it had come through America, realigned the iniquities that had come into it, the glory that had come into it, because I had a very godly inheritance and a very evil inheritance. Don't look at me. Some of you can relate to that. And then he showed me every state, one by one by one, what they looked like at that time. Each state had this, it looked like a glory river forming. And the Lord said, that will be my new triumphant reserve that will arise. I will begin to see. Here's the beauty about the prophetic. God's not in time. We're in time, but he can take you out of time to show you the future. So, because of him, we're not bound by time. We just live in time. Well, I don't live down here much. I don't. I try to live in the heavenlies and then walk down here, and especially when Pam yells at me and says, well, you just come on down here with the rest of us, get the trash out, do everything else. But I saw each state, and I saw what he was going to begin to do in 2020, and what it would take to get there. Each state had this glory movement coming in it. Several states had these castle-looking, gold, fiery things down in the earth realm, which I know now is the Tabernacle of David, apostolic centers for the future. But not each state had those at that time. And the Lord began to define them to me. Each state had iniquitous thrones ruling. 21 states were in covenant with the Lord. 2 were hanging in the balance, and the others were not in covenant. He showed me the ones he wanted to draw into covenant with and what it would take. And that's where I asked the Lord. That was on May 31st, 2008. I said, Lord, how will you do this? And how will you take care of America? And the Lord said, they must learn to play the trump card. Now, that was when he said it to me. That was May 2008. I prophesied in Montgomery in 2005 that our next president would be an African American, and he was. And I started, he knew he could tell me that because, I am from a lot in East Texas and Louisiana, and I know how to play cards very well. But I immediately went back and started recording what each state looked like. Then, guys, we're going to come up and worship some, because I want you to see this. And he showed me Louisiana. Showed me it was a covenant state. It was one of our covenant states. And he showed me what it looked like, and see if you can make it really, see if it'll layer that darkness over it. It had this incredible darkness. Now, this was in 2008. Had this incredible darkness across the bottom of it. And this darkness was so thick. Of course, and later on we had the oil spill, we had all that. But the darkness was thick, and I think that's why the Lord allowed me to prophesy about Katrina. I could see so clearly before Katrina happened. But he showed me these notes coming up through the darkness. Said, this is what Louisiana looks like. At that time, he showed me 5 key places in Louisiana. You can see them on this map. And just amazing. And I have gone and ministered it was 7 key places he showed me in Louisiana, and I had gone and ministered at 5 of them, and then eventually went and ministered in Lake Charles. And I had enough understanding of Louisiana that I knew the cities. I had been to Lafayette, but I knew that when God chose the timing for us to gather in Lafayette, that the notes and the song and the sound and the voice of Louisiana would begin to be heard nationwide. I want us to stand up. You have no idea how God has orchestrated this week to get you here. To celebrate that this is the time where Louisiana will be heard, and it will cause the future of this nation to totally shift. Let's give a shout up into heaven. And then the Lord showed me because you can see, there was something about where these cities were here that had to be fulfilled before the glory could cover the whole state. And it was always a missing piece, Lafayette. See, God called you here. God put you here. God had to wait till he had worked it out in you to bring you to this day so you could gather to celebrate this day that his sound, his voice will be rising from Louisiana, and it will not be able to be stopped. And I would say to you, now I say, remove the coverings of layers that have come across and tried to control all of that I would do and bring from Louisiana throughout this nation. I say go and watch the layers begin to be removed. Watch me visit sovereignly New Orleans. For I say to you, they have a sound, but I will interrupt their sound, and I will cause my sound to be heard all the way from New Orleans, all the way until Shreveport and Monroe. Create the sound that is creating the wind that will go through a nation. And I say to Lafayette, without you gathering, the joy for the strength of the future of America would not be able to fully manifest. I say to this city, there will be a joy that comes from this city that gives strength to the whole nation. Today is your moment. And from this moment, you will create events that change the course of America. And I say back into your history, that poverty point that helped form this land, I say, I am changing the cartridge of what tried to be written here, and I am rewriting your history beginning this day. And the mixture of the blood that I have brought to Louisiana, and the mixture of the sound that I have brought to Louisiana will produce a glory that cannot be stopped in days ahead. Let's give a shout and let's worship.